I hadn't meant to linger. Not that long, anyway. But there was something about the way her porch light never flickered, soft and golden, like it knew someone might be watching. I'd told myself I was just stepping out for air. Muggy August nights always held too much silence in my apartment, and sometimes, the quiet inside felt louder than the world outside. That's when I'd find myself out on the steps with a glass of water I barely sipped, hoping not to look like I was hoping. Her place was 2 doors down, a little red brick house with a garden that was always neat but never showy. The kind of place that made you think someone still cared about the small things. Even after whatever she'd lost. The first time she spoke to me, it wasn't even words. Just a glance. A long, steady look as she watered her plants one evening. I nodded. She didn't nod back. But she didn't look away either. That was weeks ago. Since then, it had turned into something quieter. Not conversations exactly, more like moments. I'd carry groceries. She'd leave the gate open a little longer. I'd mention the heat. She'd smile, barely. Everything that passed between us felt like something more than what it was. She didn't wear a ring. But there was a gravity in her eyes. Like she'd already buried too much love and wasn't sure if she had the strength to lift another. Her voice, when she used it, was low, like it had learned to be careful. I never knew what to say to her. So mostly I didn't. Tonight, though. She was already on her porch when I stepped out. Sitting on that old wooden swing that creaked when she shifted. She had a book in her lap, unopened. Her hair was up, but loose, not the usual tight bun, and a few strands fell around her cheek like she'd forgotten about them. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked, without turning. I paused. "Something like that." She nodded slowly, like it wasn't small talk. Like it was something else. The porch swing moved. Just once. Her foot tapping against the ground. I leaned on the railing. The air smelled like cut grass and something faintly sweet, maybe her perfume. Or maybe I just imagined it. She finally looked at me then. Not the glance from before, really looked. Her eyes were darker than they seemed in the daytime. Softer too. Like something had loosened behind them. "You always come out around this time," she said, and there was something in her voice that wasn't a question. Not quite. "You always have your porch light on." Silence again. But this one didn't feel empty. Then she said it, not playful, not sad, just still. "Do you want to stay, or should I beg?" And something in my chest twisted. Because I didn't know if she meant tonight, or tomorrow, or the years she couldn't take back. I didn't move. Couldn't. She closed the book she hadn't opened. Got up slowly. Walked to the door. Paused with her hand on the knob. She didn't look at me. But she didn't go in either. She didn't go in. Not right away. Her hand stayed on the doorknob like it was holding something back. Or maybe holding her back, and I wondered what would happen if I just walked up the path. Knocked gently once. Told her I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay, but I hadn't wanted to leave either. But I didn't move. Not because I didn't want to, but because I wasn't sure if this was real or just something we were both imagining at the same time. Finally, she turned her head just enough. "It's cooler inside," she said, like she was offering me lemonade and not, whatever this was. I swallowed too fast. "You sure?" She gave a slow blink. "You're already here." That was all it took. A few quiet steps across the grass, the click of her screen door, and suddenly I was standing in a stranger's house that somehow didn't feel strange. It smelled like old cedar, something faintly floral, and time. She walked ahead of me into the kitchen. No lights on except for a lamp in the corner with a warm amber glow. Everything felt soft. Unrushed. "You want anything?" she asked. "Tea, maybe?" I shook my head. "No, I'm good." Then added too quickly, "Thanks." She pulled down a mug anyway, poured hot water over a tea bag, and leaned against the counter while it steeped. Her arms folded. Watching the steam curl. I stood awkwardly near the table, hands in my pockets like I was waiting for an interview. "You don't talk much," she said without looking at me. You do, I replied. Then, realizing how that might sound, I rushed to add, not in a bad way. She smirked, not smug, just amused. That wasn't always true. There was something behind her voice then. A memory, maybe. I wanted to ask. I didn't. She set the mug down. People think silence is cold. Sometimes it's just tired. I nodded, slow. Or safe. That made her look at me. Like really look. Her eyes flicked down to my mouth for just a second, quick enough that I could pretend I didn't notice. But I did. God, I did. She gestured to the table. Sit. So I did. She sat across from me, resting her elbows gently on the wood. No distance, but no closeness either. We were just there. Like we had been meeting at this kitchen table for years instead of strangers playing at something dangerous. How old are you? She asked. I hesitated. 24. Her mouth twitched. God. I know. You look older. You don't. That caught her. A flicker of something in her eyes, disbelief, maybe, or guilt. She dropped her gaze. Touched the handle of the mug like it steadied her. My husband was older, she said suddenly, and her voice dipped a little. He liked silence too. I didn't ask what happened. Didn't need to. Widow wasn't a word people said out loud. It just hung in the room like furniture you weren't supposed to touch. She exhaled. He passed 3 years ago. I still set the table for 2 sometimes. Stupid, right? No, I said before she could take it back. It's not. Our eyes met again. Longer this time. And then I said it, not planned, not practiced. Just soft. You don't have to beg. She didn't respond right away. Just let the words hang. Then got up, walked past me, and opened the fridge. You hungry? She asked. Not really. She smiled, half to herself. You will be. The sound of the fridge humming was louder than it should have been. She passed me a bowl, cold pasta salad, some olives, something homemade. Our hands touched for half a second longer than necessary. Just that. But it pulled something sharp in my chest. I wanted to say something stupid. Like how her laugh made the room feel smaller in a good way. Or that her voice kept replaying in my head when I couldn't sleep. Instead, I just ate. And when we were done, she walked me to the door. No kiss. No goodbye. Just, I'm not very good at pretending, she said, hand on the knob. I almost said me either. But I didn't. And the silence that followed? Felt louder than anything all night. The next time I saw her, it was raining. Not a storm, just that slow, whispering kind of rain that made everything feel suspended. Like the world had agreed to hush itself. She was outside, barefoot on the porch, sweeping water off the steps with the hand towel. Hair loose again. A thin robe tied at the waist like she'd thrown it on without thinking. I was walking back from the corner store, plastic bag in hand, when I stopped under the awning across from her. You're going to catch a cold, I said. She glanced up, squinting through the drizzle. So dramatic. Then, softer. Come in. You're already wet. No porch-light moment this time. No hovering at the edge of the doorway. I walked in like I'd done it 100 times. Shoes off. Shirt damp. Her house warmer than I remembered. She handed me a towel without asking. It smelled like lavender and something faintly smoky. Maybe her perfume. Maybe just her. You clean up nice, she said, eyeing my soaked shirt clinging to my chest, but with a quickness to her voice that told me she regretted saying it. You don't. I shot back, teasing, but gently. Testing. She laughed. Not loud. Just enough. Then silence. She walked into the living room, and I followed, towel in hand, unsure where to put myself. You can sit, she said, nodding toward the couch. So I did. She sat too, not beside me, but close enough that if either of us moved wrong, or right, it'd change everything. Her elbow brushed mine. Neither of us shifted. Outside, the rain deepened. A low roll of thunder somewhere far off. The sound filled the space between our words. "Why do you keep coming here?" she asked suddenly. The question hit harder than I expected. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I did. I looked at her. "Do you want me to stop?" Her eyes flicked to my mouth again. The second time now. "No," she said. Almost a whisper. "But maybe you should." She wasn't smiling. Something broke in the air right then. Quietly, but clean. Like a plate set down too hard. The kind of break you pretend didn't happen. I turned toward her. She didn't move. She reached up, slow, and tucked a piece of hair behind my ear. The wrong move, or the right one, depending on what we were pretending. Her fingers lingered. Just a breath too long. And then, she pulled back fast. Stood. Turned away like she was suddenly busy with something invisible. "I shouldn't," she started, but didn't finish. Just let the words trail off like smoke. A phone buzzed on the counter. She didn't move. I glanced. A name lit the screen. Richard. She let it ring. I stood too, unsure of where my hands belong. "I can go." She shook her head. "Don't." I waited for her to explain. She didn't. She turned slowly, and for a second, maybe less, it felt like we were about to fall into each other. The kind of fall people write poems about. The kind you don't walk back from. But it passed. She stepped back. Looked down. Then up. "You should eat something." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was her. Still holding the towel, I sat again. This time, when she sat beside me, our knees touched. She didn't move. Neither did I. We said nothing for a long while. And somewhere between the silence and the sound of the rain sliding down the windows, I knew. I knew I shouldn't be feeling this. But I was. She was quiet that night. Quieter than usual, and that was saying something. I showed up without a reason. No groceries to help carry, no excuse about a power outage or my water heater acting up. Just stood outside her gate until I saw the curtain shift, then heard the soft click of her door. She didn't ask why I was there. Just opened it like she'd been waiting. Her eyes had that faraway look again, like she'd been somewhere else before I knocked, and wasn't sure she was ready to come back. I stepped in. She locked the door behind me. Her place smelled like cinnamon and burnt toast. A candle on the counter flickered low. "I made too much," she said, motioning toward the table. "2 bowls. 2 spoons. I thought maybe you'd come." I sat without speaking. The silence between us was different tonight, not tense, but loaded. Like something heavy had been dragged into the room and neither of us knew where to put it. We ate slowly. Barely. She kept looking past me, toward the window. Her fingers fiddled with the rim of her glass. There was something brittle in the way she held herself, like the grace she usually wore was fraying at the edges. And then she said it, not loud, not dramatic. "He would have hated you." I blinked. "What?" "My husband," she said, staring straight ahead. "He would have hated you." I waited. "He didn't like people seeing me. Looking at me. Even at the end. Especially then." The quiet returned. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the soft clink of her spoon against the bowl. "I'm not him," I said carefully. Her eyes met mine. And for the first time since I met her, she didn't look away. "I know," she said. But her voice cracked right through the middle. And then something shifted, not all at once, but slowly, like a door being pried open. She stood up fast, paced to the sink, turned on the tap, then turned it off again like she forgot what she was doing. "I hate how this feels," she said, gripping the counter. "Like I'm doing something wrong." I stood too, unsure if I should leave or cross the room and pull her back from wherever her mind had gone. "You're not." She turned. "Aren't I?" The room was too quiet. The candle flickered. I could see her chest rising faster now, like something in her had given up trying to stay composed. I'm too old for this, she whispered. I walked to her slowly. Careful. Like getting too close might break something. You're not too anything, I said. Her eyes shone now. She wasn't crying, not yet. But she looked at me like she hated that she wanted to believe me. And then I said it, too fast, too raw. I think about you. She froze. Too much, I added. And I know I shouldn't. But I do. She stepped back. Her hand found the wall. I thought you were just lonely, she said. I am. She blinked. So am I. The air pulled tight between us. Then she reached up and touched my face, barely, like she wasn't sure if I was real. Her thumb grazed the side of my jaw. I almost leaned in. But before anything could happen, before I could say another word, she whispered, Don't ruin this. I stopped breathing. Our faces inches apart. Neither of us moved. Not yet. She didn't call. I didn't knock. 3 days passed, thick with everything we didn't say. I told myself I was giving her space. That I was being respectful. That maybe it had all been too much, too fast, too late. But the truth was simpler. I was scared. Scared I'd made her feel something she didn't want to feel. Scared I hadn't meant as much to her as she now meant to me. Then, one night, near midnight, there was a knock. Not loud. Just 3 soft taps, like she was still unsure if she was allowed to want anything. I opened the door and there she was. No makeup. Hair up. Sweatshirt that hung off one shoulder. Her eyes searched mine like they hadn't decided what they were about to do. Hi, she said. I stepped aside. She walked in. The silence was thick. We didn't hug. Didn't touch. Just stood in the kitchen, the hum of the fridge filling every breath. Finally, she said it. I want you. Then, as if the words terrified her, she added quickly, But I don't know how this can work. I didn't say anything. Not right away. She stepped back, gave a soft shake of her head. It's not just the age thing. It's not even what people would say. I'm not worried about the world. Then what are you worried about? She laughed, not because it was funny. Because it was too much. I'm worried I'll need you. And you'll wake up one day and realize you don't need me back. The words sliced something open in me. Because I had thought that, once. That maybe I was just filling a space in her life that someone else had hollowed out. I'm not a placeholder, I said. She looked at me. I know. Then why? Because I don't trust this. Us. Her voice trembled. Because it's too good when it's good. And if it breaks, I'm the one who won't survive it. The room was still. I could hear her breathing. And then it was my turn. I think about you all the time, I said finally. Even when I try not to. Even when I know I should stop. You make me feel seen in a way I didn't think I deserved. She blinked. Fast. I don't know how it works either. But I'm here. And I'm not just passing through. She took a shaky breath. Her eyes were glassy now. And still, no kiss. No touching. Just closeness. Truth. Wounds shone without flinching. After a long silence, I stepped back and gestured toward the couch. You can stay, I said. Or go. But the door's open. That part's not changing. She didn't move. Not right away. Then she sat, slowly, pulled her knees to her chest, and stared at the window like it held all the answers. I sat beside her. Close enough to feel her warmth. And we said nothing. But for the first time, it felt like we weren't avoiding the truth. We were just holding it. Together. ChatGPT said, she's making coffee when I wake up. Not in a movie way, no silk robe, no sunrise spilling over a perfect kitchen. Just her, hair messy, sleeves rolled up, humming something low while the kettle rattles. She doesn't hear me come in. I stand there for a moment, watching. It's been 2 months. No declarations. No dramatic scenes. Just days stitched quietly together. Dinner on her porch. my books slowly migrating to her shelves. Her toothbrush next to mine. Silence that doesn't feel dangerous anymore. We still argue sometimes. She still pulls away when something in her aches too old, too deep. And I still get lost in my own head, wondering if this will last. But we stay. And that matters more. She turns and sees me. Smiles in that half-sleepy way she does when she's unguarded. "Morning," she says, handing me a mug. "Hi." I take it. Our fingers brush. We let them. The kitchen smells like cinnamon and warmth, and her shampoo on my hoodie. There's music playing softly from her phone. The kind of music that means nothing unless you've lived in a house long enough for it to mean everything. We sit at the table, close. No rush. The kind of morning where nothing big happens, and that's the best part. "I was thinking," she says, "about getting rid of that old swing on the porch." I glance at her, surprised. "You loved that swing." "I did," she says, tracing the rim of her mug. "It belonged to another version of me." I nod. "Maybe we build a new one." She looks up. Smiles slow. "That sounds like us," she says. There's peace in her voice now. Not the fragile kind, the real kind. The kind you earn by staying through the awkward silences, the mistakes, the nights someone almost leaves. I reach across the table. She meets my hand halfway. We don't say anything. We don't need to. Later, I'll help her in the garden. She'll lean against me while we wait for the bread to rise. We'll plan a weekend away and probably cancel it just to stay home. But right now, it's just this. A quiet kitchen. 2 hands touching. A risk that felt too big, now feeling just right.